Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to cut through the noise on what is, I think, for a lot of people, the single most overwhelming topic for site owners. We're talking about essential security strategies for WordPress in 2026. If you run an online business, something built on WordPress, the stakes are incredibly high. And the threats, they can be really confusing. So what we've done is distill all the necessary layers of defense into a clear, step-by-step roadmap. We're starting right at the foundation, guarding against hacks, malware, and spam with tools like Jetpack and Akismet.
And that roadmap is so crucial because security is never a single product you just go out and buy. It's a strategy, it's layered, and you really have to build it from the ground up. Before we even talk defense, though, we have to get a handle on the sheer magnitude of the target. Why is WordPress, which powers nearly half the internet? Why is it such a prime focus for attacks?
That is the question, isn't it? Everyone needs to internalize that. Let's just unpack the scale immediately because the numbers, they're honestly terrifying. Over 4.7 million WordPress sites are compromised every single year. So if you're operating a site, you have to ask yourself, why that massive target size? What are hackers actually trying to get?
It's largely a numbers game. WordPress is just so popular. And, well, users often neglect updates. Hackers aren't always looking for some complex Mission Impossible style heist. They're looking for volume. Their motives, they really break down into about 5 main buckets. You've got data theft, malware injection to spread their own infection, using your site for spam distribution, hijacking your server resources for things like crypto mining, and this one's critical, installing backdoor access to get into larger connected networks. And what's often missed in this conversation is the risk to smaller sites. People think, oh, I'm just a local bakery, who would target me? But the analysis we looked at highlights that small businesses are actually easier targets because of weaker defenses, your reputation, your revenue. It's just as seriously at risk as a corporate giant's when a breach hits.
Absolutely. The reputational damage from being blacklisted by Google is instant. And that brings us straight to the essential, the automated baseline defense. We have to talk about Jetpack protection. This tool is like your 24/7 security guard, handling that perpetual grind of threat monitoring. What are its core strengths that really free up a site owner's time?
The beauty of Jetpack is that it manages the highest volume of common attacks, and it does it automatically. We're talking about real-time brute force attack blocking. So it stops those repeated automated login attempts dead in their tracks. It also gives you continuous downtime monitoring, so if your site falls over, you know about it immediately, and it does comprehensive malware scanning with automatic threat detection.
And it works seamlessly with Akismet. This is the crucial synergy here. While Jetpack is warding off hackers trying to get in the back end, Akismet is the industry-leading champion for preventing spam comments. For those listening, the real insight is that 90% of your initial threat isn't some complex exploit. It's spam and brute force attempts. And these tools handle that automatically, protecting your time and your SEO.
Exactly. Akismet is blocking millions of spam attempts every day. And that's not just about cleaning up your comment boxes. That spam often contains malicious links that can really damage your site's SEO ranking and its reputation. The seamless 24/7 coverage you get from that integration, it's the necessary foundation.
Okay, so we have the automated foundation, but we know threats get more sophisticated. That's when you need to bring in some specialized muscle. For those of you managing a growing business, you really need to consider this next layer of defense.
Right. We move beyond the baseline to specialized security plugins. And this is where it gets interesting, because they all have pretty distinct specializations. If you can only afford one, you really need to know which one fits your primary need.
Let's dig into that distinction. We've got Wordfence security and Sucuri security. What is the crucial difference in their approach? I mean, which one is a better entry point for someone who fears a direct attack versus someone who's maybe more worried about the cleanup after a breach?
That's a fantastic distinction to make. Wordfence's strength is largely prophylactic. It focuses on enterprise-grade firewall protection on your site, advanced malware scanning, and real-time traffic monitoring. So Wordfence is excellent if you want that intense, immediate visibility and proactive defense against, say, brute force attacks. Sucuri, on the other hand, it's also known for its professional-grade website firewall, but its specialty really lies in recovery. It offers expert malware cleanup services, blacklist monitoring, post-hack security actions. If your site has already been hit, or if you just want that guaranteed safety net, Sucuri is the heavy lifter you call for cleanup and recovery.
And then there's the third major player, all-in-one wpsecurity, which seems to target the human element. It focuses more on comprehensive user account security, login lockdown features, protecting those core database structures. It's more about the internal risks. So that covers the software layer. But the sources we looked at make a crucial point. Your security foundation isn't the software, it's the ground beneath it. We need to shift focus to the underlying infrastructure. We're talking about managed WordPress hosting, specifically mentioning premium hosts like Kinsta, WP Engine, and SiteGround.
This is where you're essentially purchasing enterprise-level security without having to manage it yourself. The major value of managed hosting is that passive security. They protect you before the threats can even reach your website.
Okay, so what does that enterprise-level protection actually look like? We see jargon thrown around like DDoS mitigation.
Right.
What is that for anyone unfamiliar?
DDoS mitigation is basically a massive bouncer, or maybe a traffic cop, stopping thousands of bad, automated requests from overwhelming your server all at once. That, combined with hardware firewalls, provides a huge perimeter defense. You're also getting crucial upkeep handled for you. Things like automatic daily backups with one-click restoration and automatic PHP version management. That PHP management part is so critical because it ensures you always have the latest security patches for the core language your site runs on. And beyond that, these hosts enforce secure protocols only. That means SFTP or SSH instead of the vulnerable FTP.
Wait, can you clarify that difference for our listener? We hear FTP all the time, but why is SFTP or SSH the non-negotiable standard now?
Well, FTP, that's File Transfer Protocol, it transmits data, including your passwords, in plain text. It's an open invitation for someone to intercept it. SFTP, which is SSH File Transfer Protocol, or SSH itself, Secure Shell, encrypts everything. It protects your credentials and your data during transfer. They also enforce SSL HTTPS site-wide, which ensures encrypted connections for every visitor. So you have to ask yourself right now, are my current hosting protocols strong enough, or am I still relying on that outdated insecure FTP?
That really sets the foundation. Now we move into the key security best practices, the non-negotiables. Every single site owner must follow these, regardless of what plugins or hosting they choose. If you take nothing else from this deep dive, these 4 steps are mandatory. First, keep everything updated. That means your WordPress core, all your themes, all your plugins. Vulnerabilities get patched instantly by developers, so enable auto updates. Make patching your top priority. Second, remove unused components. This is so critical. Inactive or, nulled plugins and themes are a massive liability. They create dangerous backdoors for attackers that bypass all your active security checks. If you aren't using it, delete it immediately. Third is strong authentication. Change that default admin username. It is the low-hanging fruit hackers try first. And enforce unique, complex passwords across all administrator accounts. And number 4, enable two-factor authentication. Require 2FA for all administrator and editor accounts. This is the single most effective way to prevent unauthorized access, even if a password gets stolen. It's minimal effort for maximum protection.
Those 4 steps are foundational hygiene, absolutely. But for true site resilience, especially if you handle sensitive data or have a high-traffic site, you have to look at advanced hardening techniques. This is where you transform your site from a potentially easy target into a fortified fortress. So let's start with login protection, beyond just 2FA. We advise limiting login attempts, set it at, say, 3 to 5 tries, implement CCAP-TCHA verification, use security questions. These specialized steps prevent that brute force automation from just running indefinitely.
Right, now we're getting into the more technical stuff,
Yeah.
but these details are vital. Let's talk about file security. It sounds complex, but our sources give 3 really high-impact fixes everyone can do.
They do. First, disable file editing right in your wp-config.php file. This stops a hacker, even if they manage to breach your admin panel, from modifying critical settings. Second, hide or protect that critical wp-config.php file itself. And third, set proper file permissions across your server. If a file is set to 777, that's open season. It needs to be locked down to prevent unauthorized writing. Then there's this group of, let's call them advanced hardening steps. And what's fascinating here is how often legacy features get abused. Take XML RPC, for example.
Or hang on. What is XML RPC and why should someone listening care about disabling it?
So, XML RPC is a remote communication protocol. It was used years ago primarily for things like the mobile WordPress app or remote publishing tools. The problem is it's a massive target today because it often bypasses standard web application firewalls. That makes it perfect for DDoS and brute force attacks. If you aren't actively using those older mobile tools, disabling XML RPC is just an easy security win. Other key hardening steps include changing your default database prefix, implementing security headers, and restricting PHP execution in certain upload directories. This stops uploaded files from suddenly executing malicious code.
And finally, network security, that external-facing layer. You mentioned acronyms like HSTS and Content Security Policy. Can you give us the quick translation?
Certainly. HSTS stands for HTTP Strict Transport Security. It just forces a browser to only connect to your site securely using HTTPS, preventing any downgrades to insecure connections. And Content Security Policy, or CSP, is a crucial line of defense that tells the browser exactly which sources of content scripts, styles, images are trusted. It's an extremely effective defense against cross-site scripting attacks, which are a very common exploit.
That sounds like a lot of work, but the urgency is real. I mean, our sources highlight this shocking fact that Google blacklists over 10,000 websites daily for malware infections. Early detection is everything if you want to protect your search rankings and your visitor trust.
And this is why recognition and response are absolutely vital. We've established the defenses, but you need an active strategy for when those defenses are tested. We outlined 3 keys here. The first is regular scanning. Use those security plugins to scan for malware weekly or even daily if you have high traffic. Next up is activity monitoring. Track logins, monitor suspicious file changes, and don't be afraid to block suspicious IPs or even entire geographic regions if your business doesn't serve them. Prevention is always better than a cure. And finally, recovery planning. You have to maintain offsite backups, have cleanup services on standby, and professional support contacts ready to go, because if you get hit, time is money, and the reputation damage is immediate. You can't waste hours figuring out who to call.
Let's anchor this risk to the listener's reality. The financial implications are just. They're staggering. And this is why security is a business investment. It's not an optional expense. Get this, 43% of all cyber attacks target small businesses specifically. The average recovery cost from a major data breach, including professional cleanup, is a staggering $200,000. And maybe the most sobering statistic of all, 60% of small businesses close within 6 months after a major cyber attack. It's a survival issue.
You really can't afford to ignore this. Cybercriminals see small sites as easy entry points. And it's not always because they want your data, but because they want your server resources, or they want a launch pad for larger attacks. Investing a few $100s a year in premium plugins or managed hosting, it costs a tiny fraction of that $200,000 you risk losing in a single breach.
So to wrap up this crucial deep dive, we'll leave you with the 3 core actionable steps pulled directly from our analysis. 1. Layer your defenses. Start with that essential 24/7 coverage from Jetpack and Akismet, and then add a specialized powerhouse like Wordfence or Sucuri for comprehensive, targeted protection. 2. Choose secure hosting. Select a managed WordPress provider with that enterprise-level infrastructure that handles DDoS mitigation and automated PHP patching for you. And 3. Follow those best practices. Enable auto-updates, enforce strong passwords, require 2FA, and scan regularly. Security is just non-negotiable. It protects your business, your customers, and your reputation.
And as we close, I want to leave you with a final thought exercise. It builds on those advanced strategies we covered. Considering the balance of, complexity versus protection, which of the advanced hardening strategies, like disabling file editing, changing the database prefix, or implementing HSTS headers, which one do you think provides the biggest protection boost for the least amount of effort?
That's a great question to chew on. It really requires you to balance the technical lift with the security payoff. Let us know in the comments below your answer, and of course, any other questions you have about hardening your own security strategy. We'll be keeping an eye on them. Thank you for joining us for this crucial deep dive. We'll see you next time.